Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Derek Livingston. I'm a freelance sports photographer that shoots some film on the side, and today I'm going to be talking about some film gear that I've recently sold and some film gear that I recently picked up. So about a year ago, I sold off one of my Pentax 645s because I was having issues with it, and I thought maybe this is the time that I can upgrade, or what I thought would be an upgrade, to a Fuji 6x9 rangefinder camera. That is a medium format film camera that shoots 6x9, so you get, I think, like 8 frames per roll or 6, something like that. I didn't really ever get into using that camera as much as I thought I would. My plan was to find something a little smaller than the Pentax 645, and this was more in a form of a normal SLR camera or rangefinder. This is the Pentax 645, and as you can see, it's a pretty big camera. Also a medium format film camera. And my plan was to get out of this and get into something that would be a little easier to carry around every day or on travels, whatever it may be, and shoot medium format, because that's where I find a huge amount of my passion for film photography is on 120. Once I got it, I realized that maybe that wasn't the move for me. I find this issue a lot when I'm trying to get into rangefinder cameras. I don't ever really feel a connection with the camera. I think the biggest factor is that when you're looking through the viewfinder, you're not looking through the lens that's on the camera. So you're just kind of working off the guidelines that they have in there. And maybe that's the disconnect for me. I'm not really sure. So after having the Fuji 6x9 for a while, or the Texas Leica that some call it, if you ever wanted to Google it to know exactly what I'm talking about, I sold that off and knew that I just wanted to go back to the Pentax 645. And this time I would focus on finding one that hopefully has no issues. So I was gonna have to find one that had recently been CLA'd, cleaned, tested, and so that's where I've come down to this one. I found it for a great deal. Had it shipped over from Japan. It only took 2 days to get here, which is still mind-boggling to me that every time I buy a camera from over there, it is on my doorstep within 2 to 3 days almost every time. The Pentax 645 is the first camera that I ever shot medium format on, thanks to my friend letting me shoot a sample roll through his to see if it was what I wanted to get into. I was already shooting 35mm for a couple years on the Nikon F4 and a couple other 35mm cameras, and it's never failed me in most aspects. I've had issues in the past with the camera not rewinding the roll properly because it was set to 220 instead of 120, which I didn't know. So I traded it, got a new body, shot that for a while, and then I had some issues. And so I had to send that off to get fixed. Sent it off, got it fixed, came back, and some more issues happened with it. So I was like, I'm just gonna sell it. And that's why I went to the Fuji. Now that I've realized that the 6x9 wasn't it for me, and maybe it's the rangefinder aspect, I went back to the 645, and I've already shot a couple rolls. So I'm gonna show some of those images. So to test out this camera to make sure there wasn't any light leaks or anything like that, I loaded up some Fomapan 400 and went out on a snow day to the local sledding spot and shot a couple rolls. Overall, I don't think the light leaks that showed up in some of these images are from the camera itself. I think it was from me loading the film and not remembering the proper way to roll it onto the spool. So I think with that said, it was my issue of loading the film. So I'm gonna be shooting some more in the future, and we'll see if it's any light leaks. It's gonna be probably coming from the back film door, and I could just replace that with felt to seal that up a little better. But other than that, I don't see that there would be any light leaks going from anywhere else on this camera. So all in all, I'm really excited to start shooting with this camera again. I guess to talk specifics here, I bought this camera with the 55mm 2.8 lens. I think 55mm on 645 is like the equivalent to a 35mm in full frame or 35mm. So it's a little wide, but not too wide. So in the past, I had one that was 28mm equivalent, which I think is their 45mm 2.8 lens. So with that said, I just wanted to give an update of what's in my camera bag. That's my newest camera when it comes to my film gear that I'm gonna be shooting with a lot more throughout the season, and probably on some of the Gorillas on Film project that I'm working on. So to speak about the Gorillas on Film project, recently I shot some Kentmere 400, pushed it to 3200. The true test will be when I get the chance to scan the photos at home and have a little higher def scans. When I send it off to the lab, I just get the basic scans just to see the images. And then once I get them here, I'll scan them with my Canon R6 and convert them in Lightroom and go from there. So, but with that said, I appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, and I will see you all in the next one.